What's going on, everyone? We are back with another Mock Draft Monday. This is our second edition. We did one about 2 weeks ago. Go check that out. But now, we're past the trade deadline, so all the picks, everyone's got their picks. The picks you have are going to be the picks you have all the way until draft night. It's just going to be, the draft lottery, how that's going to shake up things. But, March Madness is coming up. Prospects and their seasons are coming to an end. So the draft cycle is really, heating up as we get closer and closer to that stuff. Let's just hop right into it. We already simmed. We did the lottery simulator. So the Hornets are going to be picking first here. They jump up a few spots. And yeah, let's just get into it. Like and subscribe. There's going to be loads of, Nets, college basketball, NBA draft stuff coming your way on this channel. You don't want to miss it. So yeah, picking first, the Charlotte Hornets, no brainer. They're going to draft Cooper Flag. Not much, to be said here. He's averaging 23, 7, and 5 on 55, 48, 86 splits since Christmas. If he's not generational, he's the closest thing to it. And yeah, like the Hornets get incredibly lucky. Him, LaMelo, Brandon Miller, that's a pretty perfect, and the fit is there. I mean, Flag as a defensive guy, LaMelo, the playmaker, Brandon Miller's a pretty good third option, being able to play off two playmakers like Flag, like LaMelo. Flag in that secondary playmaking role is really awesome. He's handled the primary and high usage role really well at Duke. The three-point shot has come along. He's just a flawless player who's going to fit anywhere he lands. Now, number two, we're going to have the Pelicans taking Dylan Harper. I think Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe, they've all done their jobs to kind of, I don't want to say solidify, but those have been, the 2 through 4 guys probably since the start of the season. Nolan Traore was kind of there. He's definitely fallen off a bit or a lot. But yeah, Harper, has kind of had a weird season at this point. Had that great start, out of conference, the players tournament. Then he had that illness and stuff, a few games you kind of call mulligan, games you kind of ignore when evaluating him. And now he's kind of been up and down the last few months or the last few weeks, may I say. The thing with Dylan Harper that stands out to me is the fact that he's shooting 27% on pull-up threes. The rim pressure stuff has been really, really good, and it's really, really valuable in a league where, everyone can shoot. It's just how much can you, bend defenses, get defenses to collapse. Harper can obviously do that with his ability to just blow by defenders with his speed, handle, and size. The finishing has kind of regressed too. So that and the shooting is definitely going to be, is he just a connecting piece on offense, or can he be a true primary creator? I think he could, get along as a shooter. He was shooting the ball a lot better early on in the season. I don't think his jumper's broken there. So right now he's still number 2 on my big board. That can change if the shooting continues to struggle down the stretch. And now here with Philly, I'm going to have them taking Ace Bailey. Ace, I made a whole video about him. He's one of the more polarizing prospects that we've seen in the last few years. He's only made one three-pointer in the month of February. They played like 5 games. In January, he had a really good January. He was up to, all the advanced stats. He basically caught up on all the progress he missed to start the year in that aspect. Guys were getting on him for, having a negative BPM. He got that up really high in the month of January. He's back in negative BPM mode. The assist numbers are still very scary. When you watch him, the feel on both ends, he has so many defensive lapses, even though the ability to be like a really good defender is there. Some of the weak side stuff he does. His one-on-one defense is really good when he, gets in that stance. But then he just has all these lapses where he just falls asleep, and you have to question yourself as a team, how much of that is fixable, as well as the playmaking stuff. Is this feel stuff fixable? Is it not? The talent is obviously undeniable with the shot making. But that feel stuff, it's really going to be an interesting, career path for Ace, because the talent's not in question, but it's going to be a test, going forward. How much can you fix feel? Because right now his feel is just not good. But in a situation like Philly, I really like it for Ace because they're not asking him to be something more that he's not. He can kind of just go in there and be what Paul George was supposed to be for them. He's been really bad. They get bailed out here, getting a top pick, getting a top talent in Ace. And now Washington, we're gonna go VJ Edgecombe. VJ he's become one of my favorite prospects in this class. I think he's challenging number two on my big board more than anyone else's right now. That's thanks to the shooting progression he's had as the years went on. He's been really good as a scorer in conference play for the Bears, who are on the brink of the bubble right now. They're going to be playing a lot of high leverage games down the stretch, which is going to be exciting for VJ. The defense, the feel, now the shooting. It's a really easy sell. The question will be how much of that can be on the ball? How much can he grow as a creator? The handle's pretty bad right now. But when you factor in his athletic ability, his feel as a passer or in the pick and roll, I think there's a lot there. And he just keeps getting better and better as the years go by. He's been a really upwards prospect. So it will be exciting to watch him grow, especially in Washington, where he'll have a lot of opportunity to become more than like a connecting high impact role player that a lot of people are kind of projecting him as that two-way star, that two-way impact guy. And number 5 here, we're going to give the Jazz Kasparas. He's been a really interesting sell. The defense and the athletic stuff, especially in like games like the Michigan State games. He's been hunted defensively. A lot of good on-ball defenders give him trouble because the handle's so limited. He relies a lot for his production in the pick and roll. With that being said, though, the three-point shot making is really good stuff. Stuff that makes you suggest he's going to be an above-average offensive creator. The playmaking stuff, even with the turnovers, is really good too. So yeah, I like this spot for him too because Utah doesn't really have a primary creator. So here, KJ can walk in, get a lot of reps on the ball because if he's not on the ball, he's been bad off the catch as a shooter. So I don't really know what's he going to do if he doesn't have the ball in his hands. Here in Utah, he'll have that opportunity to justify that he should. Toronto, I think this is a pretty straightforward pick here. Come on, Malawach. You can't teach measurements, and Malawach is going to have some of the best measurements in recent memory. 7'2", he's probably going to be 7'3" in shoes. Crazy wingspan. He can catch anything. He can make crazy contests, crazy blocks because of how long he is. Now he is definitely raw. His feel as a passer, as a screen setter, is definitely not there. But if you can clean that up, if you can polish that up, he's shown a bunch of offensive promise too before he got to Duke. Playing for what kind? I've been blanking out on the country he played for. But, his game in the Olympics and stuff like that, he showed a bunch of offensive stuff. He started playing basketball real late, so it's going to be fun to watch him grow. Now, 7 here, Trey Johnson, I think is a pretty fun consolation prize for the Nets if they are picking in this area. With Trey, I'm seeing the comparison to him and Cam Thomas a bunch. I don't think, that's a fair comparison for either guys. Trey Johnson's a way better three-point shooting prospect. Cam Thomas really wasn't entering, the NBA. Cam got to the rim a lot more. With that being said, Trey's a way better passer. Cam Thomas averaged more turnovers than he did assists in his college career. Trey Johnson, on the other hand, while he's not a good playmaker, he does have a 1.5 assist to turnover ratio, which is far better than what Cam had. And yeah, so Trey is a really, really good jump shooter, one of the best three-point shooting prospects in this class. With that being said, though, the rim pressure stuff, I don't think it's ever going to be that I don't think it's going to be there, but NBA spacing, you never know if he becomes a better playmaker. That can open up a lot of things for Trey. even if that stuff, kind of caps up, there's still a lot of value in, his shot making ability, his 3-point shooting ability, his ability to get open as a shooter. And then he's 6'6". The defense and the assist stuff, I think that's stuff that, maybe Jordy Fernandez can, untap with Trey. And then if he does untap that stuff, you're looking at a really, really good player. Now with Chicago, I'm going to be giving them Derek Queen. They've been pretty lifeless for quite some time now. Derek Queen, he's kind of been a polarizing prospect himself. Some are saying, he's got that primary creator, primary option upside with his great footwork, with his, touch around the rim, his post scoring ability. It's like he's made for the, 2000s in that aspect. He can put the ball on the floor really well for a guy of his size. He can attack closeouts. But the questions are, what's he going to measure out to? Um, what's he going to look like defensively? Who's he going to guard? Who's he going to play next to? Can he stretch the floor? If he's not stretching the floor, is he going to be a 5? Is he going to be a 4? That all that stuff is really interesting. But for now, I'm kind of just going to say the production speaks for itself. He's doing stuff not a lot of freshmen are able to do. Um, and yeah, with Chicago, it's like you're picking eighth. Who else are you going to go? You could just get a good, high floor guy, but here, why not just take a swing here? It's your first draft, really rebuilding. So let's see what Queen can do. Give him some opportunity here, and yeah, this is one of the better, more talented, higher upside plays here for Chicago. Now 9, we're gonna have Portland. Portland can go a bunch of ways here. I think I'm going to give them Noah Isenge, just because, I think they have a bunch of guys who can figure things out going forward. Scoot Henderson has definitely progressed this is his second year. The first year was kind of rough. Kamara, Denny Avdia, and Klingon kind of feel like their front court could be really solidified. But here we're going to give them a Senge just because I really like his defensive tools. I really like his, ability to get to the line. I am kind of nervous because he is a jack of all trades, master of none right now. What's his offensive role if the shot's not there? But, this is an upside play. The Blazers aren't really in a rush because, I think they're kind of in wait and see what we have in scoot mode. Um, so yeah, they can take it, play it slow here with the Senge. I like this upside. And now here with San Antonio, this is going to be one of my favorite fits in the entire draft. Colin Murray Boyles, CMB, to the Spurs. One of the best defenders in this draft. He's really versatile, really strong. He can hang on the perimeter. He can, play down low. He's a really smart defender. He's got some playmaking chops to him for a guy of his size. He can play out of the post, has some scoring ability, getting downhill, using his big body as a slasher. And now you get to play next to Wemby because one of the concerns with CMB is his size. He's going to have to shoot it at 6'7", to be a 4 because he's too small to be a 5. Wemby, all that kind of goes out the window. So now all he really has to zone in on is be a good connecting piece. Obviously, another non-shooter is questionable for San Antonio, but I think the defense is just too good. And, who knows? He has been shooting threes more than he has last year, so maybe that's something he can grow into next to Wemby. And then 14, Miami gets the pick from the Andrew Wiggins and Jimmy Butler deal. Here we're gonna have them go. Definitely gonna do a bit of an upside play here for them. I'm gonna have Jace Richardson going here, and Jace is another guy who's really grown on me throughout this process. Another guy, I talked about in a previous video, like Ace Bailey. Here with Jace though, it's his upside is getting higher and higher, and yet here he is, continuing good production. Um, great on all 3 levels, especially for a guy of his size. I don't know what he's going to look like defensively in the NBA because of his size, but he competes on that end. He's really good off pin downs. He's really good off the ball. He's showing some chops on the ball. So here in Miami, you're going to go into a good system. Just get a good damn basketball player to Eric Spoelstra, and he's going to be able to make it work. I really like this fit for Jace. And then here with Houston, I think they just need to take a guy who's ready to play. And that guy's going to be Rasheer Fleming. He's been shooting the ball. He's had a great jump as a shooter. He's a bit older, 21. He's a junior. Um, but yeah, with Houston, they're starting to have to evaluate all their young guys. Should we trade Tari Eason or what's Jalen Green? Is he really going to be our guy going forward for closing stretches? What are we going to do with Reed Shepard? I would not be surprised if they start, cashing in on some of these guys, for a star like a Devin Booker, maybe a Kevin Durant. Those have been two names they've been linked to. And in that event, they're going to need some, guys who don't have opportunity, don't have minutes to step up. Fleming could do exactly that because of his shot. Uh, Really good athlete. He's been finishing around the rim really well. Just he's been a really good player for St. Joe's this year and really good lead. All right, and now Atlanta. I'm going to give Atlanta Thomas Sorber. Uh, Kind of a bit of a best player available here for me. Um, I really, really like Sorber, and he's been one of the most impactful players for Georgetown in all of college hoops. They are pretty night and day when he's on the court compared to when he's off. He's just got a lot of stuff you can work with on both ends. He has a 7.4 block rate, which is really high. He's got good touch around the rim. Um, he hasn't been that great of a shooter, but the signs are definitely there, or the volume's been there to suggest maybe that's something he can develop into. Now, I don't really like the fit here in Atlanta because he's not much of a lob threat, but as a defender, with his touch as a playmaking, I think this is kind of just a bit of an upside play here for Atlanta, who is another one of those teams kind of just in a bit of a deadlock here going forward. And here, another Miami selection. Um, they can kind of, again, go best player available here. They got Jace Richardson. I'm going to give Nick Clifford a bunch of love. He's another guy, one of my favorite prospects in this class. Now, 14 may be a bit ambitious for him, but he's 22 years old. He's going to be one of the older first round picks if he is a first round pick this year. But when you break it down, he's a three-level scorer. He's been really good at getting to the rim. He's been Colorado State's, primary playmaker. He's a super good rebounder for a guy at 6'6". He's super long. He competes defensively. He's got good steal and block numbers. Pretty good shooter. He's shooting like 35% on the year on pretty good volume. He's really good in the mid-range. He's just a complete scorer, just a complete player, honestly. He can do a bit of everything, and I think Miami really values those type of guys, those hard-nosed guys. Has just been getting better and better at a Colorado State program that, may not get a lot of attention from year to year. But yeah, I really like this fit here in Miami. I think he fits that Heat culture a lot. And maybe he's not picked as high as 14 come the draft, but whatever contender does draft him is going to get a hell of a player. And then here, San Antonio, another fit that I really like a lot, Con Knipple. We talked about CMB and how he can fit with Wemby. Now Khan can fit with Wemby and Fox in a whole different way. They get a defender in CMB. They need a guy, Vassell, Jeremy Shohan. They have a bunch of guys who simply cannot make plays or make shots off of Wemby and Fox coverages. You know who can? Con Knipple. Now, defensively, he's been pretty bad. I don't buy, his finishing stuff. And for that, I don't think he's the 15th best prospect in the draft, but for where San Antonio is, they just need guys who can, play off Wemby and Fox. And there's no question Knipple can do that because of how good of a shooter he is. And he's also got a bit of, secondary playmaking chops that he has shown at Duke. Now, Orlando, they need shooting. Kind of unfortunate that they may miss out on Knipple because that would have been a really fun fit. I'm going to have them go Liam McNeely. Another guy I'm not super, super high on. With McNeely, though, his impact is definitely felt with how UConn is with and without him. They really struggled in the games that he didn't play. He's just, a pretty basic prospect, good positional size who's going to be able to shoot the ball from deep at a plus level. Defensively, he may not be great, but he's going to compete there. And it's a similar position to San Antonio because now we're getting later in the draft. Teams are going to be drafting for need more than, best player available. They're going to get a good tall shooter. And I think that kind of fits what they need and what their principles are because they do seem to value, positional size a lot. McNeely gives them that. Now, here, the Timberwolves can go a bunch of ways. I'm going to give them Cam Jones. I've really liked Cam Jones for a few years now, and it's cool to see him kind of finally emerge as a real first round prospect. He's gotten better year by year. His role has gotten bigger year by year. This year, he has really shown how good of a playmaker he is. And I think that's going to matter for a Minnesota team who, is definitely easing Ant into that super high usage role. Um, but I do think it's important to, kind of have another table setter, especially when Rob Dillingham, is coming into the picture now. He's got ways to go as a playmaker. But yeah, they get another guard who can kind of create, play off Anthony Edwards and also play for him. And that's why I really like the fit here in Minnesota. As a shooter, he's been a bit down this year, but I think, playing next to Edwards, that would kind of go back up to what he was shooting in years past when he was, playing off the Tyler Koleks, the Oso Iguodaros, the Omax Prospers of the world, when his role's a bit more off the ball. So I really like this versatile, fit for Cam and Minnesota. Now here with Dallas, it's pretty interesting here. I think here, they're going to go away now because they made it clear with the Luka trade. That's what they're trying to do. We could go Caravan and Reach. I'm not going to go that crazy. Um, we can give them Noah Penda. I've really liked Noah Penda and, the tape that I've seen on him. Quite frankly, I've not watched him as much as a college guy simply because it's a bit harder to access where I'm at because he plays overseas. But yeah, real good connecting piece. The shot's definitely going to determine a lot, but his playmaking ability on both ends as, a guy who can produce a lot of steals and blocks, guard multiple positions. And then he's a super, super good playmaker, good play finisher for his size to the point where I think he doesn't really need that much promise as a shooter to be an impactful player, especially if he's playing off of guys like AD, off of Kyrie, off of Clay. All right, and now here with Brooklyn, again, we're going for upside. We're going for, the guys who we think best player available. This is a bit interesting because Asa Newell has just slipped. Now, quite frankly, I'm not that high on Asa Newell, and that's kind of why he's fallen. I've kind of just ignored him. The reason why I don't like Asa is because I think he's a bit of a tweener. Um, don't know what he's going to look like as a rebounder at the next level. But we're going to draft him here just because in the event that any, lottery projected talent falls to the Nets' second pick, they should basically just draft him. Another reason why I like this fit is because you look at Noah Clowney. He was a bit of a guy who could be a stretch four, based off his college stuff. And then he's kind of become solely a stretch four. That's all he's really been doing this year. So obviously, not all players are the same in terms of progression, but if the Nets shooting development team is really good, Asa could really benefit off that a lot because I do think he's better fitted as a four because of his size and he isn't that great of a rebounder. But overall in SEC play, his production is just speaks volumes, and the Nets just get really good value here. And now here with the Jazz, another guy that I think, or another team that can kind of just go best player available and see what happens. They don't really have anyone to build around just yet. I'm gonna have them going Jaeger Demon here. Again, a guy I'm not particularly high on. He's the selling point like right now is that he can pass the hell out of the ball. Other than that, he can't do much. He has a limited handle. Shooting numbers have been bad. But here, you're going to go to Utah. They need a swing. They need some spark in their rebuild. Maybe he can do that, if a few of his traits, swing their way. Now here in Indiana, they're a team, that could use a bit of a playmaking swing. But with the impending Miles Turner free agency, I'm gonna have them taking Danny Wolf, another guy who, I think on my big board he might enter, top 20 range. Because he has been just so fucking good for Michigan. Um, the feel as a passer for a big man, super fun. There's definitely something there with him as a shooter. I think he's shooting a mid 30s on the year. He can shoot it, and it's not just off the catch. He's shooting some threes off the dribble too, which is really exciting. Defensively, it's going to be interesting what he looks like. I think he can move pretty well on that end for what he's given credit for. And for that, I'm going to have him going 21 here to a Pacers team that might need a bolster big man play, depending on what they do with Turner in free agency. Now, here with the Thunder, I'm just going to draft, I think Ben Serif is a really good fit here. Another guy who, he's tall, he can put the ball on the floor. The idea of him can shoot, I think he's shooting like sub 30 or low 30s right now. But if he can start shooting, I think he's the epitome of what a Presti player is. I'm not sure if I'm going to have a first round grade on him, but I think he will go in the first round come June. Um, and yeah, I think Presti is going to really just start recycling a lot of guys as they get more and more, older, and like the pressure of winning a title becomes more apparent. So here they're going to get a guy who should be able to contribute right away and fill the void of any guys, they may trade or let walk in free agency down the road. Now Atlanta here, I'm gonna have them taking Carter Bryant, another guy who, when I make my next big board, he might be top 20. Um, Super young. Obviously you see the stats and you're like, wait, what? Like 6 points, 3 rebounds, like 1 assist. He doesn't play much, but I think his role is going to be what his role in the NBA will be, so that's why I'm not too concerned. Arizona's an objectively better team when he's on the court. Um, Again, another guy, 6'8". If he's shooting the ball mid 30s, or anything higher than that, you take that every day. Can produce steals, blocks, competes on that end. He's pretty disciplined for the most part. The question would be, is there anything else there on offense besides, just playoff playmakers and catch and shoot stuff? That's a question, but I think his age, his production in limited minutes, I think it's enough for Atlanta to say, hey, this would be another great wing to have and hide trade defensively for. All right, so Brooklyn, we drafted Trey Johnson, Ace and Newell. That's two really, really good value picks. And before, like, I'm gonna be real here. I don't think Asa Newell is like that great as of right now. I'm just not as high as I am with other guys. I'm not trying to make this like the best possible draft for the Nets. But yeah, the Nets have gotten two really good value picks based on where they drafted them. Here we're gonna take another swing here. You got guys like LeBaron Philon, Jeremiah Fears, Nolan Traore. Here, another swing. We're gonna see what Nolan Traore can do. Now, Traore, I think he's a pretty simple evaluation. He's had a really up and down last few months. But I think it's just gonna come down to this: like, can he shoot the ball or can he not? Because when he does get into the paint, a lot of special stuff happens. But if teams are going to be able to go under his screens, not really guard him out there, it's going to close up a lot of opportunities for him as an offensive initiator. So yeah, this is a swing that's going to be risky, but I think every team whatever team drafts Traore, they're going to know the risks, the downside. His floor is not an NBA player for sure. The red flags are pretty apparent, but if you can, turn that passing, that rim pressure ability into just anything, you're not just going to get an NBA player, you're going to get a really good one. And for a team like Brooklyn that, again, just needs talent, they need talent, I think this is a really good spot for him where, he can kind of grow. And then Orlando on the board again. They pick Liam McNeely. Um, we're going to have them taking the Jeremiah Fear swing here. I really think it's gotten to the point where Fear should just go back to school. Um, out of conference play, I was so damn high on him. I think in my last mock draft, I took him like top five, top six. That's where he was at my big board. That's going to change, obviously. But yeah, he should definitely go back to school. He's still super young. He's got a lot of stuff to work with. You don't teach that handle and the shiftiness he can be with the ball. Um, but yeah, Orlando's just going to take a swing here. They do need some guard scoring. I think they're kind of done with the Cole Anthony experiment. And, let's see what Fierce can do. Kind of a weird pick because they're trying to win now, but I do kind of like the idea, maybe let him play in the G League a year or two and then see what he can do at the next level once he matures a bit more. And then Washington here, they can go a bunch of ways here, I'm gonna have them taken to Todd Pettiford. Another guy, I think he's gonna get passed up on a lot. I think he's gonna fall in the second round because of his size. But every time you turn on TV and you watch Auburn, he sticks out. He's got the shot making stuff of like an all-star. He's a good passer. He competes defensively. Now he's really bad around the rim, but I think the jump shot and the shot making ability he has all around the perimeter is just too special where he's a first round pick at the end of the day. Like you either have it or you don't, and he clearly has that id factor. I like this swing a lot for Utah or Washington, excuse me. And then with Brooklyn, they're on the board once again. I don't think they're going to use all four picks. That'd be pretty rare. I think what they're going to do is, maybe trade up, trade out so they can draft, another or get a 2026 pick on their hands. They can go a bunch of ways here. I'm going to have them go, a bit more of a safer pick here. We're just going to take my guy LeBaron Filan. Another guy I think, should strongly consider returning. In the event that he does declare, I think he's going to be a fun bet to take later on in the draft. I love his feel as a playmaker. He's got a super soft touch around the rim as a finisher. It's going to come down to, again, if the shot can come around. Two bets with him and Traore for Brooklyn. If the shot comes around, those are two really good players to have. If not, you kind of pay your depths and go forward there and hope, your higher picks like Trey and Asa can become, what they project to be. But yeah, I do like these two swings here for Brooklyn. Filan's another one of my guys who, definitely stands out to me more than other guys do. Now, Boston, I'm targeting Janai Broom for them like throughout this whole cycle. Horford's getting up there in age. You don't know how many games Porzingis can play on a year-to-year basis. Get the National Player of the Year favorite, a guy who's going to be able to play day one. Yeah, it's kind of like the Edie evaluation. Like the production speaks for itself. He's a different player, obviously, but he's good on both ends. He's got a good touch around the rim, pretty good playmaking feel for a big man. Shown the ability to stretch it from deep. Just a good player and really good value here for Boston. And then here with the Clippers, are they going to go for a younger upside swing, or are they going to go for a guy who's ready to play? I'm going to give them Will Riley, just a project. I think he's definitely going to get a first round promise if he does declare. The playmaking chops he's shown like the last month has been really, really fun to see. He's put the ball on the floor, a bunch lately, against, you think of games like Michigan State, where he puts it on the floor, he makes some shots, really good shooting prospect. He's going to have to grow into his body a lot more. But I really like this kind of like draft and stash. You're not going to ask him to play right away, but maybe post Kawhi, post Harden, he could be ready to become a real piece at that point. And then finally, the Suns Gonna shout out my guy Yaxel Lenenborg. He's been killing it for UAB. I mean, look at the numbers: 17, 4, and 10. Just a guy who can fill up the stat sheet, fill up the impact the game in so many different ways. Just damn good basketball player who deserves a lot of love. And if they draft KD, their approach to this pick, or if they trade KD, their approach to this pick is definitely going to be different. But here, you're asking a really good and experienced basketball player to play off KD, play off feel. He's got good size. The Suns don't really have that. So yeah, pretty simple pick here for Phoenix. So that's going to do it. When I look at this draft, I definitely think, unbiasedly, Brooklyn walks out of here with Trey and Asa. When I look at how Asa fell, I look at, Portland probably would draft him over in Asenge. That's definitely me being a bit bullish on Asenge. Um, Atlanta's another Asa spot. Even San Antonio, because you don't need Asa to become a good shooter next to Wemby because he kind of covers that. Um, but still, Trey Johnson, Asa Newell, those are two pretty good consolation prizes where the Nets don't really have great draft value. The Derek Queen experiment in Chicago would definitely be something to watch. Same with Utah getting KJ and Jaeger, two really good value picks there for them. I really like the haul for Atlanta, Sorber and Bryan. Those are two guys, two freshmen who have been super productive and impactful. Now, let's see if they can become true core pieces for Atlanta. Miami, Jace Richardson and Nick Clifford's definitely a really fun pairing of upside and readiness, to impact their team. Miami's been able to, get a lot out of their draft picks, the last few years. Um, Washington with Tahad Pettiford and BJ Edgecombe would be really, really fun. Both guys are just really fun watches with, VJ athletically, Tahad with his shot making, that'd be fun. Love the fit in Boston for Broom. Orlando walks away with McNeely. They walk away with Fears. That would definitely be pretty interesting. Ace Bailey to Philly would be super interesting. Can he impact winning from day one? Does Philly just move on from Embiid at that point? Who knows? But yeah, I'll probably do another one of these, maybe before March Madness. I might do a big board video and then a third mock draft right before March Madness because I do think I need to update my big board. But yeah, if you guys like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. And yeah, I'll see you guys all in the next video. Peace.